Daniels looking to keep it. Daniels, great move on his feet and in for the touchdown. Oh, what a move.
Yes! Don't get nervous.
Can you dance like that, KB?
No.
And we say hello to you, another Tigers Roar edition, final Wednesday of the month of January. It is January 29th, 2025. Hope everybody doing well. We've been on a little bit of a break. Of course, the snow kept us from recording last week. Buddy Songy in the house with Tigers Roar. Jonathan Poche in the other room, as most of you know, in our new setup here. And, folks, a lot to get to, a lot to take care of. You just saw Jaden Daniels. What an incredible rookie year he had. He did everything he could to get the, obviously, the Washington Commanders to the Super Bowl. But when you turn it over the way they did and you're playing on the road at Philly, a big resounding defeat, 55 points put up by the Eagles. They will play once again, a team trying to do something that's never happened before, a three-peat with the Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, we're going to talk LSU, we're going to talk Saints, we're going to talk NFL. A lot of things happening. In fact, tonight, folks, LSU men's basketball. I know it's hard to get excited because every time they have a big game and a big crowd, they seem like they lay an egg. Number one, Auburn, Bruce Pearl, comes in with his Auburn Tiger men's team tonight, 6 o'clock on the Tube, 12.5-point underdogs, LSU. Did you see Trey Green have his first action of the year with a block and a stufferino? But they are 1-5 in the conference. There you see Jai Bailey, one of the guys, one of the poster guys. And so we'll talk a little bit about the men's hoops. But number one coming into town in the Pete Maravich Assembly Center, 6 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow night, Lady Tigers still playing well. They did get beat at South Carolina by 10, but 21-1 for the year. They host Oklahoma. Kim Mulkey's Lady Tigers, not right now this week, ranked 7th. Oklahoma ranked 13th. They are coming into the Pete Maravich Assembly Center on Thursday night at 6 o'clock. So 2 nights in a row, back-to-back at 6. Oh, by the way, the men host Texas Saturday at 5, and then the women host Mississippi State Sunday. So, JP, as always, good to talk with you. And, man, oh, man, since we've last been here, JP, a lot of things have happened. Ohio State wins the CFP 12 crown. Obviously, everybody knows going from 4 to 12, there were going to be some nuances. We'll talk a little bit about that. But thank the good Lord, the Notre Dame people have momentarily shut their mouths up because Ohio State won that. And now we get to the Super Bowl. JP, I'm always a little bit in a cross because now only one more meaningful football game. But happy Wednesday to you. And I know you and the kids had an incredible day last Tuesday, something that I'll never see in my life again. I don't know if you will, but 8 to 10 inches accumulated in Baton Rouge, New Orleans. So happy Wednesday, my friend.
Great to see you, Bud, man. Happy to be back here on Tigers Roar. Of course, you mentioned it last week. There was a blizzard in South Louisiana, which was crazy. I live in Metairie with my family. And, yeah, like you mentioned, 10 inches of snow in the middle of the backyard. My 9-year-old was like a duck in water, Bud, man. He was so excited to see the snow. I told him to really soak it in. I tried to take him walking all through the night, really just to take it all in and enjoy it. Yeah, we're an incredible day. The hand of God. It was just perfection. We don't get to experience something like that. Truly, I hope you were able to take some time and enjoy it with your loved ones, all you watching out there in TV land and on YouTube. Lots of good football is being played. The College Football Championship, as you mentioned, Ohio State gets the job done. Shuts up those Notre Dame fans for a while about Brian Kelly. But that doesn't take any pressure off Brian Kelly. No, she spent a lot of money in the transfer portal. There are going to be expectations for this next year, obviously, to make the playoff, and not only make the playoff, but make a run at a national championship. And, of course, Jaden Daniels, the intro, what he did with the Commanders. We'll talk about it in the next segment. But what an unbelievable rookie season for Jaden Daniels, really changing the game, what he's doing off the field. Talk a little bit about that. And what he did on the field was just incredible. We'll talk about the Bills and the Chiefs and all the missed calls or blown calls. If you're a Chiefs fan and you didn't think they were blown, if you're a Bills fan, I have no problem with you boycotting this Super Bowl, just like all the Saints fans boycotted back in 2018. So a lot to talk about here, not to mention the women's basketball, men's basketball, and, of course, the New Orleans Saints still searching for that head coach. According to Adam Schefter, there will be an announcement coming here pretty soon. Chris Powers on Talking Sports with Chris Powers yesterday brought up a good point that maybe the Saints are just waiting for more national media to be in New Orleans for the big game for them to release that news about who the new head coach is going to be. I hope that's the case. That's a positive spin to look at it because as an outsider, as a fan, you're looking at it thinking, oh, my gosh, this is just a dumpster fire. They're getting turned down by offensive coordinators. Everybody thought that, one of 32 teams, like Mickey Loomis said, would be an attractive draw to get somebody down in New Orleans, but still waiting to hear the announcement. So we'll hear from a little bit about Drew Brees. He has an announcement. He's on Adam Schefter's podcast the last couple of days, and Schefter released it on Twitter yesterday. We'll have a tidbit of that for you, what Drew Brees said his future might look like with the New Orleans Saints. We also do have that highlight from Trey'Dez Green, his first action as an LSU hoopster against Alabama. Of course, Alabama, a great team, ranked number 4 right now in the country. LSU played them really tight. I think Trey'Dez Green really did add a spark. So we'll check out that highlight. We have some women's basketball highlights. We'll talk a lot about the Super Bowl and those conference championships, all coming right here on Tigers Roar. You can also check it out on YouTube at youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting.
It is amazing, folks, just how fast football season goes. Couple tidbits for you. Jonathan was talking about Trey'Dez Green. Yeah, it took him a couple weeks to get acclimated. Look, you get through the grind of the football season. You saw what he became with the departure of Mason Taylor and other tight ends. So he's going to be a big factor in football with the bevy of tight ends that they'll have in the 2025 season. Agree 100% with you, JP. Pressure will be on BK. They have brought in 16 players from the transfer portal, 8 on one side of the ball, 7 on the defensive side of the ball, and 1 specialist. So 8 offense, 7 defense, 1 special teams, and a good punter in Grant Chadwick. By the way, if you are looking forward to spring football, first week of March, they will start practice April 12th. Announced yesterday, April 12th. Put it on your calendars. That will be the Saturday afternoon where LSU has the spring game. Back to the Saints. Kellen Moore, JP, is a name that I think if they don't land him, and, I've got a lot of negativity right now. Listen, folks. Mickey Loomis has been one arrogant narcissist for many, many years. And Miss Benson obviously doesn't have a backbone. Mickey has totally screwed up both the Saints and the Pelicans. And yet, JP, it looks like he's going to be the main guy making this decision. But if they don't get Kellen Moore, I've washed my hands of the Saints this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough look, but, man, a lot of Saints fans obviously feel the same way. Such a rough 3 years after Dennis Allen was given the head coaching job. I don't think a lot of Saints fans really wanted Dennis Allen to get that opportunity, but he was a nice enough guy, did a great job on the defensive side, so Saints fans kind of just roll with the punches. After year 1, you kind of saw what the product was on the field. Year 2 was another shambles, didn't make the playoffs. And then year 3, Mickey Loomis to come out and say he didn't want to fire Dennis Allen, it's like you're scratching your head. The oldest roster, one of the oldest rosters in the league, the worst salary cap situation in the league, a mediocre quarterback, a terrible offensive line, a lot of bad situations for the Saints. So, yeah, we'll talk more about it later, but the new head coach for the Saints has to understand this is going to be a rebuilding process. You're not going to go from a 5-win team to a 12-win team just by drafting a couple guys successfully in the later rounds. So, yeah, lots to talk about here on Tigers Roar. Of course, football coming to an end, basketball in a mid-swing, almost midway through the SEC gauntlet for the women. That means baseball is also right around the corner. So a lot to talk about here on Tigers Roar, Bud, man. Looking forward to it, and happy to be back in the saddle here with you here on Pelican Sports TV.
All right, we'll go ahead and take our first break, pay some bills. Don't forget when you go to all of your activities out at LSU Man-Defined Meats, we are the official smoked sausage of LSU Athletics. You can get those products tonight and tomorrow night and Saturday and Sunday, where flavor and spice really do say it all. Back with more Tigers Roar on a Wednesday afternoon right here. Buddy Songy, Jonathan Poche on Pelican Sports TV. Back right after this.
If you're ready for a new car that's designed to take you where you want to go, whenever you want to go, now's the time to find out all there is to know about the new Mazda CX-50, named an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus award winner. Save on your new Mazda right now at Team Mazda on Airline.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats, the flavor says it all.
And as always, we hope that all of you are doing well. Historical snow, folks, is still hard to believe. 8 days ago, we were all watching the snow fall. Football is in the can for college. Once again, going to be an interesting season for 2025. Is there expectations? Are there big expectations for BK and LSU making the playoffs? You'd better believe there are. Preseason rankings will come out in August. Everybody knows that there is one more transfer portal window, so we'll see if they pick up another safety or another offensive lineman. And JP, we start talking a little bit about the NFL playoffs. And let's get right into it, JP. First thing I want to address is, you probably know this better than I do, but a controversial spot on a 4th down. Philadelphia, when they use the quarterback and actually push him over the goal line or push him for a first down, they call it the tush push or the brotherly shove for the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. But I cannot believe Joe Brady got caught up in this game of doing the same things. But here's the problem I have, JP, and maybe you can educate all of us. One referee is coming in from one side. He's got a spot. The other guy's coming from the other side. He's got a spot. And here it is right here. So, to me, I thought he got to the line. You see the guy down at the bottom of the screen. He's got a first down. The guy at the top of the screen does not have him making the first down. JP, how did they go with the first guy spot versus the guy down here at the bottom of the screen?
Oh, I think Taylor Swift had something to do with that, bud, man. I don't know how you come up with the official spot when you have two vastly different marks. It was almost an entire yard different on the marks. So how the NFL explains that, and then you go to review it and you say there's not enough evidence to overturn the call. How do you come up with that? How are you able to spot the ball in a scrum as a referee with the naked eye and then not get 7 different looks from a replay and still not be able to tell that that ball crossed the 40? Look, Bills fans have to be scratching their head. This was not the only call that was absolutely blown during the game, bud, man. It's hard to even understand at this point how the NFL referees can allow to be doing these games. I mean, it's just year after year. The interception that the ball hit the ground, if anything, it's an incompletion. But no, tie goes to the offensive player, so he comes down with the ball, puts the spot on the 4. Of course, Patrick Mahomes is an easy rushing touchdown in. And that play we just looked at, that 4th down call was changed the game completely. Kansas City takes over at the 40. They go right down the field, score. Patrick Mahomes runs to the end zone. Travis Kelce comes up, taunting like this in the Bills' face. A player runs up to Travis Kelce, gives him a little head, and then we get a flop for a 15-yard penalty. It's just the Chiefs get officiated different than every other team in the league. I don't know if there's a real explanation by the NFLPA or the NFL's official association of why the spot was chosen between those 2 referees, but there needs to be more transparency, bud, man. Like I said, I have no problem with the Bills fans boycotting the Super Bowl. Would have loved to have the Bills Mafia down here in New Orleans. Philadelphia fans down on Bourbon Street, that's not going to mix. That's going to be like oil and water. They're going to get nice and rowdy and then wander into the wrong part of town. And look, I hope everybody is safe and everyone has a great time in New Orleans. But let's be honest, Philly fans are different. And I would have loved to see the Bills to beat the Chiefs, not only because I'm tired of Taylor Swift, but for such a great NFL season, there was such parity, and a lot of teams that weren't good had successful seasons. But yeah, I can't explain it except to say the Swifties have the NFL in an absolute chokehold.
Well, look, I have PFM, my caller of the year, and a great guy on our radio show from time to time, and he flat out believes that the NFL is fixed. He said this is entertainment, and it does not you don't have to go back far, JP, when you go back to that travesty where the Rams DB just totally accosted the Saints receiver. There was no call. It cost them a trip to the Super Bowl. Speaking of transparency, not only did they not want to answer any questions about that, but the damn guy who was a referee in that game was coaching, was refereeing the Super Bowl 2 years later. So until you get full-time referees in the NFL, there's always going to be some controversy. A lot of people like these new leagues and the transparency they have with instant replay. If you haven't seen it with the UFL and some of the others, they actually have a microphone and they have the officials in the booth talking about what's going on. It's very transparent, but there's no doubt about it. Look, it's all about one thing. It's all about money, and whether you like to be naive or whether you want to have some realistic mindset about this, Kansas City gets the benefit of the doubt. There have been a couple of games in the playoffs where Patrick Mahomes got the late hit, and one of the times it was he went to slide, and there's a rule that when you say you slide, you're totally different than when you're back. Now, look, if you're going for the neck, you're going through the throat, the head, the knee, the ankle, whatever, understand that. But I have a lot of problems, and I'm a fan of Kansas City. Can you imagine how much money the fans of Kansas City are going to come over here? And look, I'm hoping with the most of my heart and soul that the Super Bowl can give the city of New Orleans a little bit of a chance to recoup their street cred and their image and their reputation around the country, because what happened on New Year's night, we still are all feeling the pain of that, with 15 people passing and another 30 plus injured. But Holy cow, why is it such a different standard with the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, they're going to try to three-peat. It's never happened before. Travis Kelce and that star, I forget her name. I think she's pretty quick on her feet. Wait, Taylor Swift, that's who it is. That gives them a lot of pub. You see Andy Reid and Mahomes and Kelce. Look, they are a national brand. But why don't they get the same calls? Back to this tush push. You blame Joe Brady or you blame the officials on making that call? I thought they went to the well one time too many, and that to me is more rugby than football, JP.
Yeah, Bud, man, I think you make a great point. Was it Joe Brady? Was it the call? It wasn't the tush push. This was an old-fashioned, quarterback sneak over the left guard. And Kansas City came in with a plan, and they knew how to stop it. They attacked that hole. They fired off the ball. Of course, they might have been lined up in the neutral zone, but they wouldn't have got called for it because they're the Kansas City Chiefs. Blame to go around. If you can't execute to gain 1 yard on the road in an AFC championship, you cannot leave it up to the referees, especially when you're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, especially when you're in Kansas City. I blame Coach Brady. Bad play call. Went to the well one too many times, like you said. Blame the execution for the offensive line and Josh Allen. Change up the snap count. Give him the jump off sides. Whatever you need to do. James Cook could not be stopped on the night. He was running the ball for 4 or 5 yards to carry. Why you kept going to that quarterback sneak is beyond me. But that's why they get paid the big bucks, Bud, man. That's why Joe Brady refused to explore the head coaching job with the Saints, because he wanted to stay and be the offensive coordinator for Josh Allen and the Bills for those situations. So hopefully they can improve. What is it going to take to get off the shine? It's almost like LSU women's basketball playing South Carolina during the regular season. They just have a mental block beating the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. And I'm tired of it, tired of seeing it. I get that it's history with the three-peat, but lots of blame to go around. But if you can't gain 1 yard in an AFC championship on the road, you absolutely cannot expect the officials to give you that call, especially against the Chiefs at home.
Joe Brady, of course, did renege. He did have a virtual interview with the Saints, and he's making $1.8 million a year as the offensive coordinator for Buffalo. Decided, hey, no problem. I'm not going to get a second interview. And JP, let's talk about that real quick. Do we have some film on Daniels and some of the NFL action to roll here as we talk a little bit about what's going on? We'll get into the Saints coaching search later on in the program. But, hey, look, if you're like me, you're going through that transition. You love football. You can watch football morning, noon, and night, 11 in the morning on Saturdays all the way till 11 at night. Same thing with the NFL. Now we're down to one football game, so we're kind of in the transition period with LSU men's and women's basketball. Hey, what's the latest on the Pelicans? I saw something about a week ago. They might try to trade Zion, but their record has been abysmal, and of course, is their coach going to make it to the end of the year?
Lots of talk about Willie Green not making it past this season, which is a real travesty out there. I would truly believe that Willie Green can coach, and I think David Griffin is a good executive in the NBA. It's just injuries plague this team, and I don't want to be too harsh. Okay, I don't want to be too harsh about it, man. So I don't want to call Zion Williamson a cancer, but he's absolutely affecting the locker room in a negative way. Of course, there's been lots of talk about him keeping his body in shape, keeping the weight down, staying healthy on the court, being available for a franchise that not only drafted you first overall, but then gave you a super max contract extension to stay with the franchise. And then you come late to meetings and you're working back from injuries and the team has to suspend you for a game when you're supposed to come back. And look, when Zion's on the court, I don't think anybody can argue he is unstoppable. He's too big, too quick, too strong around that rim, more points in the paint than anybody in the history of the NBA when he plays. The problem is the best ability is availability, and he's never available. So, yeah, there was lots of talk about trading Zion. Trade whoever you can. Rebuild now. I don't think it's going to be with Willie Green as the head coach, but as far as I'm concerned, the Pelicans are almost unwatchable. I try to tune in. They got that new TV deal where now people in New Orleans and Metairie can finally tune in on a kind of regular basis to watch Pelicans. They're just so hard to watch. They go on runs where it's like 12-1, 15-1. They can't score a basket. They can't stop anybody. The only reason you go to Pelicans games is to see the really great players like a Luka, a LeBron, to come down in New Orleans and play against the Pelicans. And that's just, it's not how professional sports is supposed to be. You're not supposed to fill the arena with the opposing fans. So I do hope the Pelicans can turn it around, but I don't have a lot of faith with this roster right now, especially with all the injuries that have been going on. But man, before we pivot to the Super Bowl, gotta talk about Jaden Daniels. In his rookie season, arguably the best rookie season in history. Read you some stats just in a second, but really what's been amazing about JD is he's kind of changing the way that quarterbacks are developed. In college, a lot of guys are wearing the virtual reality goggles and sitting back, and they can see their POV of how to read defenses. And it's a great study tool. It's a great work tool. You really get to see firsthand, how to attack defenses, what they're going to line up as, what can they show, and then back into. But Jaden Daniels, that wasn't good enough for JD. He now watches it on fast forward, so his brain has to kind of make decisions before he would have to in even real time, which even Tom Brady talked about the poise in the pocket. This kid did not look like a rookie all the way to the NFC Championship. You upset the Bucs in the wild card. You go to Detroit and upset the Lions, who I thought a lot of people were hoping the Lions would make it to the Super Bowl. Will this ever be repeated, man? And is this the best rookie quarterback season of all time?
Well, look, as you alluded to in some of those stats, over 4,000 yards passing,
Yep.
had a great completion percentage, protected the football. But here's the key that we got to throw into the part of this story that people forget about. After his junior year at LSU, everybody knew that there were a couple games his first year starting at LSU where they had thrown for 84 and 85 yards and still won those games, but he wasn't processing the action on the field. You talk about the virtual reality and the studying and the implementation of what they did. He worked his of-11 tail. Him and the receivers worked in California, but all of a sudden he finally had the game slow down for him. He started to go through his progression of reads. That first year, JP, as soon as there was pressure, he'd go through progression read one, he'd tuck the ball and run. But from where he was after his junior season to where he is after his rookie year, all praise and glory to God and Jaden Daniels, because that didn't happen overnight. And I know a lot of people who will remain nameless that sat there and told me incredibly, I guess you could say, hell-bent, no way he's going to do this, and this. He's made an incredible amount of improvement. And the best thing I like about him, he's very humble. He's very spiritual.
Yeah, but man, to read the stats off, 4,390 yards passing, 1,026 rushing, 30 passing touchdowns, 7 on the ground. And mind you, that 4,390 yards, that's more than Lamar Jackson got this year. It was Lamar Jackson's best year as a passer. He's won 2 MVPs previous, and they're talking about giving him a third. It was his best passing year. And Jaden Daniels did better than Lamar Jackson, just to put that in perspective. From the second overall pick to obviously the franchise guy, what else do you want from a guy? Mike Denbrock called it survival mode when he was a quarterback his junior year at LSU. The way he was able to transition his game to work on his deep ball, the pass he threw against the Lions deep to Terry McLaurin was an absolute dime, and it was under pressure. But Jaden Daniels, really, and that was the most remarkable thing about him. We saw the improvement of the deep ball here at LSU, but the ability to sit back in the pocket and just feel that pressure and be okay with it, not try to tuck it and run right away, to feel the pressure and deliver accurate passes with guys breathing down your neck. And these are not guys from Troy and Southern. These are NFL 340-pound guys that run sub 5-second 40-yard dashes. So, all the credit goes to JD from the turnaround, not only the team, but the franchise. I mean, everybody was saying, we got to fire the owner, we got to get the name changed. And now all you can talk about is football. And I think that's what all Commanders fans really wanted, is stop giving all these excuses why we've been so bad for 3 decades. Finally get back to the NFC Championship. Obviously, I think Philly was in a different level, but JD, I mean, congratulations from everybody here in Baton Rouge. You're certainly making all the Tiger faithful proud.
Are you kidding? Washington is happy as a pig in slop. Joe Biden has been kicked to la-la land. And Dan Snyder, the former owner of the Washington Commanders, is in I think he's living in London now, and everything that he wanted to accomplish with Washington that didn't happen has happened. Oh, by the way, Cliff Kingsbury, another offensive coordinator, JP, who virtual interview with the Saints, expected to come back this week and talk more, and he said, nope, don't want any part of that. He says, I can't lead this kid. You know, everybody loves that kid named Jaden, but what an incredible performance for the year. But from where he was after his first year at LSU to where he is 2 years later, it's a great message for all those kids out there. You got to put the work in. He gets there at 5:30 in the morning. He leaves late. As you said, the virtual reality, all of the things, it's not just physical, it's not mental, it's psychological, and it's one heck of a story. But I got to ask you this question. Have you noticed this year that the pros have started to lean on a little bit of the mentality with the quarterbacks in that they're all running?
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes gets a big rushing touchdown this last weekend against Buffalo.
Yep.
Josh Allen, I predicted them to pull the upset, and it would be because of his legs, and he did a great job there. Jaden Daniels running, and, of course, we know that Jalen Hurts uses his legs. So, you know, it used to be, well, in the pros, they don't want to run the quarterback because if they get hurt, nobody's really got that many good backups. But what do you have to say about the implementation of the quarterback run and the quarterback option now that seems a lot more prevalent in the NFL than it was 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think it has to do a lot with training, especially at a young age. I think a lot of these quarterbacks today in youth football are the best athletes on the team, and they kind of transition and get to work on their craft. And through middle school and high school, they're developing their reads and their accuracy with their arms, and they're going to these passing academies, and they're popping up all over the country, and just like the Elite 11s. And just at a younger age, these kids are able to develop the quarterback skills above their athletic ability. And look, I don't know why, you know, the Peyton Mannings and the Ben Roethlisbergers are kind of being like moved out of the NFL, and now it's a more athletic style of quarterback. The prototypical quarterback is no longer 6'5", 240 with a rocket arm. It's kind of a guy a little bit smaller with more mobility. Look, you don't have to look no further than 2019, that Joe Burrow season. He picked up so many key third downs, but he just had to run straight up the gut and pick up a 3, 4, 5 yards. And he's not the most mobile guy, but he's mobile enough to get the job done. And I think that is the mold that's going to move forward in the NFL. A guy that doesn't have to have 4.5, 4.4 speed, but a guy that can get outside the pocket and then just run for those 5 or 6 yards. And why is it more prevalent now? Now they have more athletic running quarterbacks. Back in the day, it was only like Michael Vick, Randall Cunningham. You can name a handful of guys, but for the majority, it was a quarterback that dropped 3 yards back, 5 yards back, planted his foot, and threw a rocket. The days of the big, heavy pocket passer, I think, are kind of on the outs, bud, man. Not to say that there won't be another one. There'll always be a place in the NFL for a guy that can throw the ball 70 yards and drop it in a hat. But, yeah, GMs, not only GMs in the NFL, but colleges and high schools, they're all also looking to develop that more athletic quarterback. And, yeah, I think it's just training, but, man, more tools now to develop these quarterbacks, both their accuracy, their decision-making, and I think it's going to be great for the game. It makes the defenses work that much harder. You have to defend the entire field and then account for the quarterback. So got to figure out what's a runner, what's a slide, when you can hit him, when you can't hit him, because all that's just a mess, especially when your name's Patrick Mahomes. Got to be more clear, have more transparency on that, but I think it's just development of younger, more athletic quarterbacks, but man, that you're seeing. But look, the pendulum always swings. You never know. It's a copycat league. So Lamar Jackson obviously had a lot of success. Josh Allen had success. Jalen Hurts with the RPO. But look, Jalen Hurts has Saquon Barkley. There's a reason that he has open running lanes. He can fake the ball to 26, who, in my opinion, should get the MVP this season. So there's a lot of factors, including the offensive line. But, yeah, the prototype for the quarterback is no longer looking like Peyton Manning. Now it's looking like a Joe Burrow or a Josh Allen.
All right, we'll take another quick timeout and break here on Tigers Roar. Oh, by the way, if you're thinking about Nussmeier while we're having this conversation, is he going to run a little bit more, probably to pick up the first down and when the pocket opens up and he can get some yardage and then slide? But Van Buren is coming in from the transfer portal. He might give them a quarterback run-pass option inside the red zone. And, oh, by the way, Nussmeier, coming into his senior year, folks, has already garnered many, many props people thinking he's at the top of the list for the Heisman. I think it's way early to talk about that, but he's on the first page of possible Heisman Trophy winners. And, man, do they have a slew of wide receivers. This is going to be a fun football team to watch. And JP and I will talk about that much more when we return on a Wednesday edition of the Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Few things in life are as valuable as family and peace of mind, especially when it comes to your final arrangements, and that's where Lee Serio can help. His prepaid funeral plans make sure your life will be remembered exactly the way you want it to. With Lee Serio, no detail is too large or too small. Call Lee or his wife Gretchen at 225-315-6329. Let Lee Serio give you and your family the peace of mind you all deserve.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
It's game time at Team Toyota. Whether you're tailgating or heading into the stadium, dominate the road and drive like a champion in your new Toyota. Get off the sidelines and save thousands at Team Toyota, I-12 at O'Neill. Toyota, official automotive partner of the NFL.
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
Having fun on a Wednesday morning here in the capital city of Baton Rouge. Buddy Songy in the house. Let's get right into it. A quick basketball segment. We'll give you some stuff on the back end of the show about the Super Bowl and what's going on in New Orleans a week from Sunday. But LSU men's and women's basketball, both teams have 2 games in the Pete Maravich Assembly Center this week. As we said, LSU hosting number 1 Auburn and Bruce Pearl. And, JP, I got a feeling there's going to be more than a couple hundred fans from Auburn in the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. Let's just get right into it. It's at 6 o'clock on the SEC Network. Tigers are 12.5-point underdogs. Tre'Dez Green, let's give everybody a little taste of his moment with a block and a stufferino. But, JP, the problem with Coach McMahon is that he just doesn't have a lot of charisma. He is succeeding Will Wade and competing with Tim Mulkey. Here we go, the block, and here comes the stufferina. Get out of my elbow. Unfortunately, don't know what he's going to bring the rest of the year. But, man, it was good to see the big fella. And, JP, you know this. You've got a kid playing sports. It's hard to go from football to basketball.
Oh, yeah, but, man, not only is your body completely worn down, everyone's dealing with injuries towards the end of football season. But when you get to the very end, you really start feeling those injuries. You know, your joints get tight, so it takes a while just to get physically mentally recover, and then start your focus on something else. And then basketball shape is something different than football shape. You have to run up and down the court, sprints not galore, then get your legs under you so you can jump out the gym like Tre'Dez Green does with that 6'7" frame and slam the basketball. Look, do I think Tre'Dez Green provided a spark for LSU? Absolutely. Playing a very good Alabama team on the road, you get a play like that from a guy with his first action on the team, a guy that you saw have a lot of success as a freshman for the football team. add some juice to that squad, only lose that game by a handful of points. The closest game LSU has played in the SEC. It's been a struggle for Coach McMahon so far. It's not every day, like Coach McMahon said, it's not every day you get to play the #1 team on your home court. So, look, you play the game for a reason. You don't just win because the name on the jersey. Got to have a good crowd tonight at the PMAC, and let's give some support to Coach McMahon, and let's see if this game can't be some fun for the LSU Tigers.
Coach McMahon has struggled. Last year they had a great run at the end of the SEC season and finished 9-9. In case you don't know it, folks, 4 of the top 8 teams in the AP poll this week, SEC. And in fact, 10 of the top 25 SEC, 13 of the 16 SEC teams projected to make it to the dance. JP, you feel bad for McMahon. I don't think they are on the same level with NIL money. And obviously they've had some transition with guys coming in here. Look, Terrell Ward didn't decide to play, and he was their best scorer. Jalen Reed was their best guy down low. He's no longer around.
Yep.
Matt McMahon, does he have 2 more years to get it turned around, this year and next year? And does Woody have to make a decision? Or is LSU men's basketball a sport where the administration out at LSU doesn't really care that much? What's your gut feeling?
That's a great question, Bud, man. Do I think that Coach McMahon deserves 1 more year? Yeah, maybe 1 more year. I'll give him a chance to, get his guys in the building. Just look at the scoring, and the shooting's been really poor in the SEC play. I think that's what you can really point to, shooting below 30%, especially from beyond the arc. But look, not being able to score enough points. Since the SEC play has started, only 2 players even averaged double figures in points. Jordan Sears has not missed a a free throw yet in SEC play. He's leading by his actions. He's trying to do the small things right. Cam Carter obviously leading the team in scoring in the SEC, 19 points a game. Then you look at Chastney, he had 18 rebounds last game. Look, there are some players on this team. They do have some ability. Unfortunately, they play in the SEC, where you mentioned it. 4 of the top 10 teams are all in the SEC. Tennessee's been #1 at some point in this year. Kentucky's good. They played last night. Kentucky beat Tennessee.
Yeah.
Auburn's good. Obviously, they're #1. Arkansas, the only team that LSU was able to beat so far in the SEC, they're not that strong. Fortunately for LSU, they played Texas in about a week, and they're not as strong either. There is a couple.
Florida's good. I mean, they're loaded with depth in the SEC.
Yep.
And, of course, look, everybody appreciates and respects and likes Matt McMahon, but you've got to get more out of your team. We flip over to the female side of the ball court. 21-1, JP, but I don't think Coach Mulkey is exactly enamored with the way her team is playing. By the way, back to the men for 1 second. 300 in the 300s for turnovers, too many turnovers, and shooting the ball behind the arc. So they're 320-something in turnovers and 330-something 3-point field goal percentage. You're not going to win many games in the SEC turning it over and not making the 3-ball. Lady Tigers, once again, big game, white out. I ask you, do they get a legitimate sellout tomorrow night against Oklahoma?
I think they do, but there's a reason I'm wearing my white shirt right now. Of course, Tigers Roar will air Wednesday night tonight, as we tape here on Wednesday at about 12 o'clock noon. I think it'll be a sellout, Bud, man. I think it's going to be a very raucous crowd. Coach Kamalki's going to have everybody fired up, the whiteout, all the promos that they were able to make. From the snow on LSU's campus, from the snow around Baton Rouge, and then, just parlay that into the whiteout. Been great stuff coming out from the women's basketball team on social media. So lots of excitement. Of course, Oklahoma, a very good team, ranked number 12 right now in the country, just new to the SEC. So they're gonna give the Sooners a little taste of the PMAC, and I think it will be a sellout. Going to be a great crowd, and looking for the crowd to affect the game, just like last year when they had the whiteout right there at the PMAC.
All right, everybody knows if you've been following Kim Mulkey and the Lady Tigers, they've got to make some decisions on point guard. Cheyenne Day Wilson has been playing a lot. Jada Reed actually got more PT last game out, made a 3-ball in two other buckets to have 7 points. But as soon as she had a couple of turnovers, Coach Mulkey pulled her out. They have not figured out what to do at point guard. KG, Kaylin Gilbert, was really good coming off the bench and instant offense. She struggled offensively the last 3 games. Anissa Morrow walks out of bed, wakes up, walks onto the court, and she's a double-double. Flaugier, we know what she brings to the table. And, of course, Michaela Williams. But something's missing. I don't know if it's chemistry. And oh, by the way, when you got your 3 bigs, Samaya Smith, Jersey Wolfenbarger, and Aaliyah Del Rosario, they had like 2 points and 2 boards between the 3 of them. Got to get more from the bigs if you're going to go places. Even though they're 21-1 right now, I think everybody is thinking, they've got potential, but they haven't really been consistent the last couple of weeks. Yeah,
and I think that feeling really comes from, again, poor shooting against South Carolina. You saw it was evident. They went on runs where they couldn't score the bucket. And give South Carolina credit. I know it's been 17 in a row, and I'm not really a big fan of Coach Dawn Staley. In fact, I'm not a fan at all. But she's doing something right. She's doing a lot of things right. If you have 10 McDonald's All-Americans on one roster in today's climate with the NIL and the transfer pool and everything else going on, you're obviously recruiting well and you're obviously retaining talent well. So LSU's still going to have to climb a little hill to knock off that mental edge that South Carolina has over them right now. Of course, after the game, there was a big deal on social media that the DJ from South Carolina played a very inappropriate song, and South Carolina immediately apologized to LSU fans, to Flaugier Johnson and her family, and said that the DJ had been suspended for 1 game. I don't think that was enough, but I digress. That rivalry, it needs to go back and forth if you want to maintain the rivalry. LSU has to get off the schneid against South Carolina, especially if you face them in the postseason. And Coach Kim Mulkey did say, look, it's a game of runs. This team has not been shooting the ball very well, but against Texas A&M, they caused 21 turnovers. They played exceptional defense, had a lot of rebounds, second chance points, and that's why they were able to build that lead and ultimately beat Texas A&M in this last time out. But Oklahoma, not a bad team at all. It's going to be a great atmosphere and really build some more momentum. You're almost halfway through the SEC league already for the women. So looking forward to postseason play. But, man, I'm going to ask you, does this team have enough in it to make a run in that tournament, possibly make another Elite Eight or even a Final Four?
Right now, I would say no. I think that we want to have a couple more weeks to see how they transition in here. As JP talked about, Tigers have only lost 1 game so far, but they are certainly not close to a finished product. I think you gotta establish consistency at the point guard. And here's the deal, folks. They've got 3 divas that need their points. They need their ball. They need their shots. Flaugier, Michaela, and Anissa Morrow are going to get their shots. They deserve that. They worked their tails off for the last 2-3 years. That being said, you get back to turnovers. In that game against South Carolina, they missed 18 layups, and they had 17 turnovers. JP, got to make the short shots. And, by the way, yes, there was a disparity at the foul line. I think LSU shot 7 or 8 free throws. They shot 26. So it does seem like they get Kansas City Chief referee preferential treatment. But one thing about Coach Kim Mulkey, you always see these teams at this point, and you say, they're not going to do this, they're not going to do this. And she finds a way to shape that clay and get these ladies to come play. And here we go right out of gate as we're seeing a little bit of the film. And
this is some on-the-court action, but, man, what it looked like against LSU and Texas A&M. Look, I like the gold jerseys on LSU. Yeah. Texas A&M came out in the blacks, and this game was close. At halftime, LSU, I think, had a 4-point lead. Lots of foul trouble for the 3 starters. You mentioned them, Flaugier, Michaela. And, look, had some freshmen step up. Jada Richard, you mentioned, was able to shoot the ball well. Kaylin Gilbert, I really like KG. She's able to score it. She needs to get some confidence, start seeing some baskets fall, because you know she can fill it up. She had 2 big threes against Texas A&M. Jada Richard came in off the bench. The only true freshman on the team. You mentioned the point guard spot, Bud, man. Still trying to figure it out who's going to be like the main one. But, look, I like rotating. LSU women's basketball has always had a problem since Kim Mulkey's been there. They're only playing like those 6 or 7, and then the rest of the bench just does not get in the game. And you can really wear some girls out like that. So early rotations in the Texas A&M game for foul trouble, and also just so people can get their legs back under them and have some force for their shots in the second half.
Well, and listen, you're not going to see beautiful poetry in motion on offense. Both the ladies and the men They don't really run the weave. They don't have great spacing. They don't pick and roll. They don't do a lot of the fundamental stuff that you should do to be successful. But we'll see. Both teams have got to shoot the three ball well, and both teams have got to cut down on the turnovers if they're going to go places. Look, if you top 16, you host 2 games in the Pete Maravich Assembly Center, I think they'll get that done. Going to depend on the bracket to see what they do in the postseason. Quick timeout. We come back and give you some super stuff about the Super Bowl, Drew Brees, and more on a Wednesday edition of Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats, the flavor says it all.
It's game time at Team Toyota. Whether you're tailgating or heading into the stadium, dominate the road and drive like a champion in your new Toyota. Get off the sidelines and save thousands at Team Toyota, I-12 at O'Neill. Toyota, official vehicle of the New Orleans Saints.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golfing Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
Wrapping up this edition of Tigers Roar. Got about 6 minutes left. Hope everybody doing well. Of course, as we say, we are taping on Wednesday, January 29th. Big game tonight and tomorrow night in the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. We focused the last 5 minutes, JP, on the Super Bowl and all things Drew Brees. So I hand it over to you and give us a little fun with what you think the Super Bowl is going to mean for the city of New Orleans. There it is. Super Bowl 59, JP.
Yep, Super Bowl right around the corner. February 9th, going to be on Fox. The city's already buzzing, Bud, man. They've been working on fixing some infrastructure, some roads, some potholes, and a whole lot more around the city. Put some $2 million with the LED lights with the Crescent City connection just to make it look good for that skyline. So, yeah, the city's ready, obviously. Like you said, we want to put a new face for on the city for America, that tragedy that happened on New Year's Eve. That's kind of what everybody was talking about, even beyond the Sugar Bowl. So, ready to have a very safe and fun Super Bowl down in New Orleans. Of course, Monday starts the press junket. You'll be able to go into the Superdome and watch for free these players and coaches, go to the different stations and answer the questions for the media. So that'll be cool if you're interested in going to check that out. The Superdome, lots of renovations, lots of money put in, not only by Caesars and Miss Benson and the state. So it's looking great. Still got to fill out the walls with some artwork, but they won't have any trouble doing that. Lots of great artists around the city of New Orleans. But the NFL experience at the Mark Morial Convention Center, I will be taking my 9-year-old to go check that out with his travel baseball team. So go check it out. Obviously, the Super Bowl doesn't happen even every 5 years down here in New Orleans, so it's going to be a great experience. And looking forward to it, Bud, man. Lots of great stuff to talk about. There you are. I'm going back to me. Hey, wave to the camera. There's JP. Yeah, Bud, man. So Let's get right into it. The New Orleans Saints still haven't announced their head coach. A couple reasons that might be. One, they could be waiting for more media to be down in New Orleans to make a bigger splash on the market, to have some positive news finally come out about the New Orleans Saints. Because if you're a Saints fan out there, I get it. I feel for you. You've seen Joe Brady refuse to explore his opportunities as the head coach. Cliff Kingsbury came out and did the same thing. You're stretching for defensive coordinators and offensive coordinators from Miami and the Giants, teams that haven't had a lot of success. In my opinion, you cannot convince me that there was no truth to the story that Aaron Glenn was very interested in being the Saints' next head coach and recommended to the Saints that they move on from Mickey Loomis, and unfortunately the Saints brass is unwilling to do so. Aaron Glenn, now the head coach at the New York Jets. So you have a mediocre quarterback. You're about $52 million over the salary cap situation. You have an old roster. And look, there's just a lot of reasons why this job might not be attractive for the potential head coaches out there for the Saints, namely that salary cap situation. But I'll give the Saints a little hope right now. This is actually tweeted out by Scott Shanley, a linebacker for the Saints that won the Super Bowl, number 58, still very involved with the Saints, likes to tweet out on Twitter. I'm gonna read what he said. Let's get this in perspective. 2025, the Saints are $52 million over the salary cap, according to PFF, Pro Football Focus. In 2026, they will be $60 million under the cap, and in 2027, $221 million under the salary cap. So there's going to be a lot of room to grow. There will be a rebuild down in New Orleans. The Nets head coach just has to understand it's going to take some time. In my opinion, the best person suited to handle that turnover experience is Mike McCarthy, a Super Bowl winning quarterback that just dealt with Jerry Jones, one of the most frustrating owners to work for in the league. You come in, you have history with the New Orleans Saints, you have history with the area, you're an offensive mind coach, you've worked well with defense coordinators. In my opinion, that's just my humble opinion, Mike McCarthy would be like the only salvation from this disastrous public humility that the Saints have had to go through for the new head coach search. But also for the Saints fans, want to give you guys a glimmer of hope. Of course, you are very familiar with former quarterback Drew Brees. Everyone kind of hopes he would have some type of role with the Saints. He was on Adam Schefter's podcast yesterday. I'm going to play for you guys a tidbit right now. Here's Drew Brees on Adam Schefter's podcast from yesterday. I got this off Twitter from Adam Schefter's personal account. I'm going to play it for you guys. Bud, man, there you are.
And you are such a part of the fabric of that city and that franchise. Will you ever have a role, an official role on that team one day?
I don't know. We'll see. Look, it's in my blood. It always will be. I'm always going to be a Saint. And so whether it's direct or indirect, yes, I will always say we. That's my team, my organization, from the perspective that I take so much pride in what we built and what we accomplished. And I'm always a resource to help, and I'll always be there to support.
Have you given any feedback on the head coaching search at all?
Feedback. I mean, look, I always have conversations. I have conversations with everybody in that organization about any number of topics. So right. Yes. Hey, what are we looking for? Yes. Look, and I lend my expertise or recommendations when asked.
All right, we gave you a little bit of everything once again tonight in the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. Tigers 12.5-point underdogs. You need to support Matt McMahon and the men tonight. Lady Tigers tomorrow night, 6 o'clock against Oklahoma. It is the whiteout. Wear your white shirt. It is going to be happening, and we'll be back here next week for another edition of Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV. Have a great night, everybody.